Have you ever thought about life after 30 years old? Because it's only been a day for me, but let me tell you, it's about the same as before turning 30. Hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to the episode after my birthday, which was on the Saturday, the 27th. So if you're watching this on Sunday, when this video comes out, thank you for watching. I'm officially 30 years old. Makes me feel extremely old, but that's its own thing for its own time. Anywho, welcome to the FVI. This is the video series that I do on my channel where I talk about volume 1s and I talk about one-shots and I go into detail about their story, about their art, tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't like about them, and then I rank all of them at the end of the video. And today, it is the 50th episode of the FVI. The 50th! Isn't that crazy? 50 episodes of this it's just insane. Thank you so much for always watching these, for whoever does. And honestly, it means a lot. I cannot believe I've hit 50 of these videos. It's so much fun to do these ones, and I love how I've kind of evolved from the first video and from its humble beginnings back in the day, and to what it is now, which is a lot more streamlined, a lot more focused, and I think a lot better to watch and a lot better for me to record as well. So I'm really excited for this video. I have 4 fantastic series that I'm going to be talking about today, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let's get started right now! Well, ha-cha-cha! So, the first of manga that I'm going to talk about in the 50th episode of the FVI is going to be a series that originally released all the way back in February 26, 1985, in everyone's favorite weekly Shonen Jump. That is going to be the wonderful, the long-awaited release, and/or release, depending on who you ask, of City Hunter from Tsukasa Hojo. Yes, sir, Bob. It has a Netflix live-action film. This sticker is hilarious. Anyways, this is brought to us by a new publisher in the game, that is Kana, and let me tell you about who worked on this really quick. So we have ourselves editor Christina Corpus, editorial assistant Kai Obinata. We have ourselves designer Sean Dahl, production designer Maggie Vickner. We have ourselves managing editor Nate Lee, production manager Sarah Masterson Halley, translation from David Evelyn, retouching assistance from David Evelyn, retouching by Joshua Baldwin, and last but not least, lettering by Kai Kyo. Whew, that was a mouthful. All right. Now let's talk about this cover and spine. Overall, this cover is okay. I like that the main character's in the front. I love that it's a hand-painted design. It looks great. I think the logo in English looks awesome. This spine is strange, at least for having kind of the chibi designs. I don't know how I feel about that personally, but I do like the color scheme. And then the back is just a nice illustration of the 2 main characters. And yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty nice little dust jacket. Yes, there is an extra part here. It is, ooh, mine's looking kind of funky. I wonder if that is a printing error. I've never taken off the dust jacket before, but maybe I should have. But yeah, this is a very nice release just in general. It does have color pages at the beginning, which is really cool, but I won't flip through it. But yes, let's get into this story. So the story focuses on our main character here. His name is Ryo Saeba. He is the City Hunter, which, as the name suggests, he is the main character. Yes, no duh. But aka, he's a person who does a variety of odd jobs. He likes to call himself a sweeper as well. He can do everything from bodyguarding to assassinations to doing just kind of random searching work. As long as the job is right, Ryo Saeba will take it. So, the story's a lot of fun. I'm gonna be completely honest. It does show its age in certain aspects here and there. But I do overall, I like the pacing. I think the story is very well paced. I like the episodic nature of the main story. Even with some of the background things just occurring with the overarching story still flowing, even as we get these little episodic moments in series and stories. So, yeah, I did really like the story. I think the comedy's also pretty strong. It is very old school, so it's going to have a lot of those kind of sex jokes and stuff like that. There are quite a few, I would say, mostly misogynistic statements, as you would expect from a series from back in the 80s. So just keep that in mind. If you are easily triggered by those kinds of things, just keep that in mind. I don't mind it personally, but yes, I just wanted to make sure to mention that there is a lot of jokes about women and things like that. So, but yeah, overall, I thought the story was pretty solid. Now, when it comes to the art, I think the art is also really, really good. I like a lot of the character designs. I think the action scenes are really well done. I love that there's like fourth wall breaking that goes on with especially with the speech bubbles. Ryo Saibo will put his weight down on some of the speech bubbles and they'll squish down, or like he'll grab it and you'll see like the speech bubble be grabbed and have like a grip on it. It's pretty funny. I don't know. I think it really helps to kind of put together the story, showing that it is very much a comedy with a lot of action, and it's a lot of fun just from start to finish. So overall, I thought this was a good release, and I think Kana did a very good job with bringing this to English, and I'm excited to read the next volume. Alright, volume number 2 was a very highly requested series to come out in English. It originally released in September 30th of 1991 out of Weekly Shonen magazine, and is still going on today, technically. And that is going to be Baki the Grappler from Keisuke Itagaki. Now, let's talk about who brought this to English. So, first of all, this is also a new publisher. This is Kodama Tales. There's their logo there. There's Baki the Grappler. And I just wanted to mention up front, I did receive the first 2 volumes for free, and I appreciate it so very much to receive these 2 volumes. I'm very excited to talk about them in review. And note that even though they provided me review copies, I'm going to be giving my my opinions specifically. So they're providing me volumes does not affect my opinion on the series, as you will see. Now, let's talk about who worked on this really quick. We have ourselves translation. Our translator is David Evelyn. Yes, he strikes again. He's in series 2 for 2 for this video. Letterer is Raphael Zayats. Cover/logo design from Tom Spade Bertrand, also known as Black Studio. Publishing advisors Sullivan Road and Juliette Delavoye, also known as Agency Carmine, I believe. Editor is Michael S.J. Lacerna. Copy editor is Heise. Marketing is by Seb Sabiol. Production from Jenny Flogstad. Printing supervision from Reiko Musha. Director of operations Kashu Kondo. And CEO and co-founders Pierre Dubost and Kiyotaka Hirai. Whew, okay. So, new publisher. First series that they put out in English, and let's just talk about it. Let's just jump in right now to this cover and spine. It is gorgeous. I love the foil. Please note that this foil is only going to be for the first release, but it is so cool. I mean, it's really awesome. The colors really are bold on this. I love that they have like the little obi strip and also the French flaps as well. With Baki here, it looks so flippin' cool. I mean, like, come on, guys. Like, this is an absolutely gorgeous release. They killed it. I am thoroughly impressed by this release. They did a really, really great job, and I think this cover and spine is absolutely gorgeous. Now, let's talk about this story. We have ourselves the main character. Okay, you couldn't guess who it is. Baki Hanma. He's a fighter who wants to become the strongest fighter in the world. His goal is pretty straightforward, and as he embarks on his journey, he's going to be fighting against a variety of different people in different fighting disciplines. And I think that's where like the enjoyment comes from reading this series, is the absolute ridiculousness of these fights and the intensity of all of them as well. So this story, it's very straightforward. You're not going to be like completely blown away by it. It's going to have absolutely chaotic moments as you would expect, or I guess maybe you don't expect, because maybe you don't know anything about Baki, but Baki is pretty crazy. But yeah, this story is genuinely pretty straightforward, but it does its job. It's entertaining, it's fun, it's paced very well, and I think you're just gonna have a great time if you just want to watch a bunch of muscly men beat the crap out of each other. Now, when it comes to the art, this is where I think whether it's a hot take, I don't know, but I'm just gonna say right out, and I'm just gonna go and say the art for me is a mixed bag. I think it's really interesting to see how much of an understanding of the human anatomy that Itagaki has in this series. But I think what I struggle with specifically is that there is just a massive lack of kind of like consistency in how the characters are drawn. You're always looking at Baki when he's on page, but his proportions are changing. His face looks different a lot, and it's just like I kind of understand. I kind of see it, and maybe I'm like missing the vision a little bit. But it just, for me personally, that's just not my cup of tea. But I think the art is actually really cool in a lot of parts. I think some of the movement is drawn really well. I think the characters are pretty interesting looking, I will say. And just overall, this was a pretty solid read. I think this is a fantastic release from Kodama Tales. I don't want to bog that down by how I feel personally about Baki the Grappler, because this was a remarkable volume that they put out. And honestly, if you're a big fan of Baki, or if you're a big fan of Shonen series, definitely go check this out, especially with this release. Alright, coming into volume number 3. This originally released in Shueisha's Grand Jump back in March of 2020, and that is going to be Adabana from Non. There we go. We have ourselves translation from Caleb Cook and lettering and retouching from Brendan Hull. Now let's talk about this cover and spine. I love this cover. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think the red is a great contrast to the gray and white. I love that the character is standing in the middle, and shows this kind of like sense of mystery. You don't really know what you're going to get into with this. There's a little poem here on the front, and this red and white also moves on to the back. I've always loved that. If you've been watching these videos for a long time, you do know that I love when a cover and spine flow into one another, and I think this looks great. Also, I just want to mention that Adabana looks really cool as like a title. I don't know, I just want to say that it looks really interesting and very well drawn. I just like it a lot. Alright, coming into the story. So, Mizuki Aikawa is a young girl who lives in a very strict household, and she seems rather aloof about a lot of things. She holds one big secret at the beginning of the series. She's killed her best friend. Why? Well, that's what we're bound to find out. And this story, you are not going to expect what happens. There is a lot of, I think there's a lot of red tape and confusion and red herrings just being thrown in there. It's a really interesting mystery series, I'm going to be completely honest. So I don't know if that gives like a hint as to what's going to happen. But it really is one of those series that feels like it's not everything is as it seems. It definitely feels like there is a unreliable narrator going on, at least with the main character and how she describes things. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out in this series. But yeah, color me intrigued. This series, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just going to be interested to see how it all comes together at the end. Now, coming into the art's great. There's some really strong facial expressions, solid paneling, really helps to build up the tension. I think the facial expressions specifically really help to drive home the emotions that the characters are feeling and help you to feel like how the story is meant to be felt. And it's kind of like you feel sad, you feel angry, and it kind of controls your emotions as it moves throughout the series, which is really cool. So, Adabana is really awesome. Honestly, I don't know what I was expecting personally from this, but I did really enjoy it. I am super intrigued by the story, and I'm very excited to continue reading this one. Alright, our last series. This one originally released in Comic Ruel back in 2019 and has continued to release to this day, and that is going to be the long-awaited Veil from Koteri. Yes, this is volume 1, produced by Udon and Manga-splaining Extra. So yes, let's talk about who worked on this really quick. We have ourselves translation from Jocelyn Allen, letterer is Kevin Druell from Oshino Studio, and editor is Andrew Woodrow Butcher. Yes, now let's talk about this cover and spine. This is a very gorgeous cover. I mean, I think the art is just stunning, as maybe that is a spoiler alert for what's to come, but this cover looks so good. I love the colors. I love like the just how much like the wrinkles are just perfectly drawn. You can feel how everything flows with her dress. I love the font for Veil. I think it looks really cool. Or the title just looks really nice, and I like how it flows across the entire page, and it just looks really cool. And I love that this is going to be a second part, like there's a second cover, which I don't have. I already know what it looks like, and let me tell you, it looks really cool, just as a mild spoiler. But yes, this release is really, really neat. And also shout out to Manga-splaining Extra. They are also a new publisher on the scene. They've released a couple of series up to this point. And they're slowly but surely, and they're working with Udon and a couple of, I believe, I want to say somebody else, but I know Udon for sure, obviously, as the name suggests. But they also have a really cool podcast. If you haven't seen or listened to Manga-splaining, definitely go check them out. It's a lot of fun to listen to these people talk and banter and discuss various manga series. Okay, into the story. We have ourselves a policeman, and we have ourselves a mysterious young woman. Their lives become intertwined in a strange co-worker relationship that may turn into something more. The story does not have too much substance, I'm going to be completely honest. After reading it, there isn't a lot of, like, main story, I'm going to say. Like, the main story really is just following these two, which you can't see him. Let me see if there's a a picture of him somewhere in like the first couple pages. There he is. There's him, there's her. And yes, so it's like about them kind of becoming coworkers. And then, like I said, probably feels like there's going to be something more. You can kind of feel it almost immediately. But yeah, the story's not super like crazy deep or anything. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be it feels like it's going to be very episodic between the two main characters. It's just kind of about their like daily interactions and what they're doing and things like that. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's like it's paced well. It looks and flows just perfectly. And it's not like I said, it's not going to be super deep, but it definitely gets the job done. It's doing what it needs to do. It's allowing the art to breathe and display and be beautiful. So, yes, let's talk about this art. It's so gorgeous, honestly, guys. The art is so beautiful. I'm not even just talking about the color work, because the color work in itself is, like, just astounding to look at. It's absolutely gorgeous. But the line art is super loose, but there's a lot of confidence and direction with the way it's drawn, which, not to say that it's rare, but it is really interesting to see in like a basically full color manga. The character designs look great. The overall visuals are just so beautiful to look at. I like looking at the various outfit designs and just the color stuff. I mean, like, look at this. Like, just, oh, it's so beautiful. That's all I'm going to show you from the inside, because you know what? You have to go enjoy it for yourself, because it is just, even if you don't care for the story, just for the art alone, it's beautiful. And I think they did a great job with collecting this volume. You basically get, like, a lot of just, like, art pieces in general, and, like I said, a lot of, like, little intricate little vignettes into their lives, which is just nice. So, overall, I really enjoyed this. It's not for everyone, I'm going to be honest, in terms of, like, the story, but the art is so gorgeous that I would highly suggest just picking it up for that reason alone. Alright, here comes the fun part, and that's trying to rank all of these volumes, all these extremely different series, to be completely honest. And it's like, it's hard. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, what I consider to be the top of this year or this month. I think I know what I'm gonna choose at the bottom. It may be a just kind of like a, like I guess excuse me, I'm just nitpicking here, but I think Baki the Grappler is going to be my least favorite, and it's really just because it's like, this series art is I would say very polarizing. It's not for everybody, but I did have a great time with it. It was so much fun to read Baki the Grappler, I'm going to be honest. I was a certified hater of Baki before I started reading it, but I have slightly warmed up to it. Not exactly, but more than I definitely was before I read this. So after that, this is where it gets hard. Okay, so I think I'm going to say City Hunter is next, and I'm only going to say that because I think City Hunter, while paced really well, this volume is really big, and it definitely felt like it, at one point, or at some point, I was like, man, it's just like, it just keeps going. And I know that's more on like the way that it's displayed, because this is 3 volumes in one, but yeah, sometimes I have a hard time with, omnibuses, I think. So I think like City Hunter is going to go to number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with Veil. And it's just like, it was so close. But I think Adabana actually might be my favorite thing that I read, at least in terms of these 4 series. Adabana is just so cool and so interesting, and I'm like really excited. It looks like it's going to be just a slow train wreck, and I am here for it. Yes, that's going to be it for this video. Have you decided to pick up any of these manga? Are you planning on picking up any of these manga? Let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for any other releases in September of 2025? Let me know in the comments below. And you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things, and I really appreciate it when you do that. Thank you so much for watching the 50th episode. Holy moly, here's to 50 more, and maybe even more after that. I'm hoping, and I'm excited. Look at me move my hand through the camera. Whoa! Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.